Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the May 23rd meeting of 2024 of the Pinehurst Historic Preservation Commission. The purpose of the commission is to decide applications for certificates of appropriateness for new construction or major work within the Pinehurst Historic District, and to do so by conducting hearings and making findings of fact when such applications come before us. By law, the commission is directed to take no action except to prevent construction or alterations that would be incongruous with the special character of the historic district. My name is Richard Vincent. I'm the chair of the commission, and I'm going to ask each commissioner, starting on my left, to say their name, his or her name for the record.
Justin Bramlage.
Angelique Fabiani.
Kara Mathis.
Joe Iverson.
David Herring.
Thank you. We don't have any members absent, and we have a quorum, so we can proceed. Also present from staff, we have Michael Mandeville and Pamela. And I think you're the only ones who are going to be talking, right? Yes.
Staff, yes.
Pamela Graham from staff, okay. Just before we get into our business of approving the meeting minutes from the previous meeting, we're excited to welcome two new additions to the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and be as long or as brief. Seeing as though we have a full house, probably brief. This is their first meeting tonight. I'll start with you, Justin, on my left.
Sure. So Justin Bramlage. My wife and I moved here in 2021. We were living in Connecticut and driving through to visit my folks in Georgia. We had ended in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, at the time now Fort Liberty. And I just always really loved North Carolina. Moved to New York and then Connecticut for work. And when the opportunity came up to come back here, it just seemed like a blessing of a lifetime, maybe 35 years too early, but that was really it. It was the first time in our entire lives that we actually picked a place to move instead of taking orders or following a job. So just very grateful to be here. And I think the other thing you sort of mentioned, Richard, like the interest, I think anytime I've been to somewhere that feels very special, there's a very deliberate effort made in positive spirit to keep that feeling. So I think that's where the interest comes from. And I think I had that conversation with a couple of you all. Just to, if you always have to improve things, no doubt, but keeping it congruous for what that feeling is, that when you pull in, it just feels special. So thanks.
Appreciate you here. Welcome. First time. And Joe Iverson.
Hello. Me and my wife have probably been coming here for over 25 years, I would say. We had a residence here, but it wasn't permanent. And then we decided a few years back to buy a piece of property in the village, and we built a home over the last year and a half, and just recently in the last year moved into it. So thank you. Have always loved Pinehurst, both of us. Love the history and traditions of the village and the town, and my motivation for being here is I wanted to have the opportunity to serve the community. So, yeah, that's brief, but about it.
Thank you. Joe came through the major certificate process, the COA process, in front of us about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Loved it so much that decided to apply to become a commissioner. So, welcome. Yeah. Okay, first order of business, to review and approve the minutes of our last meeting. All commissioners have been provided with copies of the draft minutes. I know 2 of you weren't present for that meeting. For those who were present, do we have any changes to suggest to the minutes? Okay.
Page 5, fourth paragraph reads currently, Mr. Herring stated most of the large trees have been removed from the property. Removal of these trees would not have been approved by commission. Actually, I said I would not, since I can't forecast what the whole commission would do. It should reflect me only. I'm just one vote.
Noted.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, hearing none, Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
From David Herring first. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Angelique. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No nays. Okay, the minutes are approved. Now the fun part. Can I have a motion to enter into the public hearing?
So moved.
Move from Ms. Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, no nays. We're now in the public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. That means that anyone desiring to testify must be sworn in, and the commission is required to consider only facts presented in this hearing. The proceedings are also video recorded, if you would, just for everyone here, everyone who plans to speak, or the applicants, anyone from the crowd, just please be clear, speak in the microphone, and speak clearly, because obviously we pick up the audio. I'm going to ask all the commissioners if they have visited the sites on our docket today and whether they've had any ex parte communications with respect to any of the cases we'll be considering today. I'm going to start from my left with you, Justin.
I visited and no ex parte communication.
Visited and no ex parte communications.
I visited both sites and no ex parte communication.
I visited both, no ex parte communication.
I visited both and no ex parte communication.
Visited both, no communication.
Thank you. In each case that the commission will hear this afternoon, staff will first present a summary of the application and staff's evaluation to the extent of which the application complies with the commission standards for such an application, or if it raises any issues that require further information, the staff's comments on the application, and, where appropriate, staff's recommendations for commissioners' actions. The application and its supporting documents, as well as the staff's detailed report, will then be entered into the record. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question the staff about the report and any testimony. Next, the applicant or the applicant's representatives will have an opportunity to provide any additional information supporting the application and to address any questions or issues that were identified in staff's testimony. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question the applicant and applicant witnesses. After the applicant's presentation, if there is any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence, either in support or in opposition to the application, you will have the opportunity to come forward at that time and identify yourself. I will swear you in and give you an opportunity to present any reasons why you believe that the application should either be granted or denied. Please remember, this commission is interested only in the facts that will help us decide whether the proposed work would be congruous with the special character of Pinehurst Historic District. As chair, I have the right to exclude testimony that is not relevant to that subject, but I'm also not required to do so. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question you about your testimony. If the applicant or staff wishes to respond to your testimony, I will permit them to do so. I'm now going to go ahead and swear in members of staff. If you could stand up. Both of you are going to give evidence in this proceeding, so raise your right hand, please. And if you could state your full names for the record. Starting with you, Michael.
Pamela Graham.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to all the cases on our docket today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Having done that, I think we can move on to our first case and hand it over to staff.
Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is. So let's just get started. So this is a public hearing for a major COA. So the purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for the demolition of two structures and the construction of a new single-family dwelling at what is currently 80 and 90 Medlin Road. The property is identified as Moore County PID numbers 000-21345 and 200000551. The property owners are Kirk and Dorothy Koenig, and the applicant is Keystone Builders, LLC. So there's two different properties on two separate parcels, which will have to be recombined. The property on 90 Medlin was built in 1965 and is plus or minus .257 acres. And the structure on 80 Medlin was built in 1965 as well and is located on .237 acres. The applicant proposes to build a 4,201 foot heated square foot, two-story single-family dwelling with garage, a covered front porch, a covered side porch, a rear patio, driveway, and walkways. The major work to be considered is new construction or additions, not to be considered minor work, as well as a demolition not considered to be minor work. Come on. There we go. Here's the public notification map. Public hearing notification, as you can see, the property is here in the middle with a hatched area. All the adjacent properties were noticed in accordance with Pinehurst Development Ordinance and the North Carolina General Statutes 160D-406. As you can see here, we're going to get into the site plans and everything. So what you're looking at here is a site plan for the property at post demolition. This is McIntyre Road, so it's a corner lot, and here's Medlin Road. This will be the front. You have your garage here, your driveway, the walkway comes around to another entrance. As you can see here are the elevations. This is the side elevation. This will be facing McIntyre, this part right here. This is the front elevation that will be facing Medlin Road. And here's the rear for Medlin and the rear on the McIntyre side. Here is the foundation plan that has some of the square footages of the footprint with it. And here's the main level floor plan as well as the upper level floor plan. And here's a typical wall section. And if you want to look at these more when I'm done, we can go back to them. Here are some of the proposed materials. This is going to be the siding right here, which will be fiber cement, smooth board, and batten, and it is the vanilla ice cream color, which is in our color palette. And this is the trim, which is a Mirtex smooth finish, and it's the same color as the siding. Here's the foundation, which will be brick and stucco, and a watermark umber color. This will be the garage door with the a window on it, and it will be black. This is the roofing material, asphalt and metal, which will be onyx black. There's a fence proposed that is a natural color pressure treated shadow box. And this is the patio brick and the porch brick, which matches the foundation brick. And the applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission will need to determine if the demolition of the two existing structures and construction of a new single-family dwelling are congruous with the historic district and meet the historic district standards. At this time, staff would like to submit the following into the record: the staff presentation with the attachments and exhibits, the presentation, and, staff report with the attachments and exhibits, the presentation, and application and applicant's material and exhibits. And I am open for questions.
Thanks, Michael. Without objection, materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Commissioners have any questions for staff?
I see a sample fence, photograph of a fence. Where's the fence?
I'm sorry. Let me get back. It should be on the site plan. It was. I hope I didn't cut it off.
I think it's this one, David.
Come on. Okay.
That may be something
If
we
you can
have
see,
the applicant.
the fence so this is the front elevation on Medlin. This is the fence right there. If you can follow where my cursor is.
The tan line.
Yep,
Yeah.
the
Hatch tan line.
hatched
I see,
tan line.
I see, I see it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, not for the sake of being too detailed here, but for our packets, we had 80 Maitland as application, but Michael, you said, so we're dealing with two properties currently, 80 Maitland, 90 Maitland,
Correct.
one structure on 80 Maitland, one structure on 90 Maitland. Both those structures before us to be decided on demolition, each structure, each different lot, and then one new build construction,
Correct.
all under one application.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay.
One more
Yep.
unrelated question. There's an email string in the application that addressed where the front of the house is,
Yes.
which is, according to the email, different than what you just dictated. That is to say, the door was added on McIntyre to make it look like the front, therefore was the front, meaning the questions about garages and so on don't apply.
Oh, I thought it was on Medlin.
So the front setback is Medlin. There is a door facing McIntyre, and we had some discussion about which we would use as the front setback between the applicant and myself. And that's,
Okay, so the front is in fact Medlin.
yes,
So any concerns about garages, use that as the front.
The front's on Maitland.
So, okay, and for my own edification,
yep.
are we discussing the fence that is facing McIntyre since it is street facing but not technically the front? Is that,
Everything in front of us in the application for our consideration. Everything.
And the,
Do I understand that we have two
So-
backyards?
The backyard would be opposite of Medlin
What's the other yard? The side yard?
sides.
street side and
One side, one back. What's McIntyre? The side?
Side elevation. And this is the elevation for the McIntyre facing one, the one I'm circling.
Okay, just
Right.
terminology, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
We'll ask the applicant as well.
this is the front elevation right here that will be facing Medlin.
I guess it seems to me, just to belabor the point since I've been doing that today, that the double door there on McIntyre looks really front-like, whereas the door on what is it? Medlin, that doesn't look like a front door. So
like, yeah,
why are we?
it was
choosing-
just for the setbacks, I think, just for, right, for being technically,
Yes.
Okay, terminology.
and this, what
good.
was part of the email thread that you mentioned was trying to clarify what was to be considered the front and how the garage doors facing one of those streets might impact the application.
because the garage doors are technically on the front of the house.
Okay,
Front facing.
okay. So now I'm confused again. Sorry about this. So the setback on the front yard, Medlin Road, is greater than the setback on McIntyre. Is that the whole point?
Yeah, because I think the way the house is constructed, they easement-wise or whatever, they wouldn't have been able to fit, if they had turned it sideways, they wouldn't have been able to fit it facing Medlin. Because that lot is,
The setback on McIntyre is 20 feet according to the drawing. The setback on Medlin is 30 feet. And is the front yard there required to be 30 feet? This is not we don't care. We just want to know why,
Right.
understand.
And I think the applicants may be able to clarify some of this, because part of that was Michael's question to them about what, where the garage doors were facing. And right now, the properties are addressed off of Medlin. And I'll just state that there's the possibility that that could change depending on decisions that happen here and when it's reviewed for zoning compliance.
Okay.
Does that help?
We'll wait for the owner to
Yeah, corner lots are always a little funny and present challenges and intricacies. So I'm assuming someone from the applicant, seems like there may be a few. So no more questions from commissioners or staff? Okay, we'll hear from the applicant. Is the applicant or any representatives present? Would you like to come up? Okay, absolutely. Yeah, please come forward. And what I'm going to do is have you state your first name, spell your last name clearly, and then I'm going to swear you in. Billy, I'm going to have you repeat that, Billy. Thank you.
Name is Billy, last name is Hornbaker, Hornbaker.
Thank you. Have you stand again. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. I'm going to ask you your relationship to this application, your role in this new build.
Yeah, so I'm with Keystone Builders.
Okay.
And looking to build a house for
So
the
you're
client.
you're the builder. Thank you, sir. So you've been sworn in. You've heard staff's presentation. Is there? This is your opportunity. If there's anything that staff said that you disagree with or would like to add to and speak in support of your application, here's your opportunity.
Yeah, I thought I would just maybe, make myself present for any question on that setback.
Yeah,
You kind of,
I'm going to have you. Sorry, I don't mean to belabor this. If you could just so we can pick you up in the back. Thank you.
I just wanted to make myself available to possibly answer any question on that setback. As you had covered, that corner lots are, a little tricky, but happy to answer any questions on that. If anyone had any.
I do. So the setback, the building setback line on Medlin is 30 feet,
Yes.
and that's determined by,
So on a corner lot, keep in mind a front and rear setback, whether it's a corner lot or not, is, has a distance that's required, in this case being 30 feet.
okay. So the reason that you're not proclaiming the other street as the front is because you don't have the 30 feet setback.
That is correct.
I'm clear.
That's really all I had. I didn't know if anybody had any other questions I could help with.
I do, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So there's a photograph of some trim.
Yes.
It's called out in the text as smooth, but clearly the trim looks like fake wood grain.
Yeah, so that trim being MirTech, it comes with a smooth side and a texture side. It just so happens that in that picture, it's showing it being textured. It's reversible, so when you reverse it, the other side is smooth,
So
just
it
like,
will be smooth.
yes, just like
Okay.
the siding.
And the photograph of the metal roof, I can't tell if it's standing seam or batten seam.
It's standing.
Standing seam. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Just questions on the demolition. So typically what we like to see is any materials of substance, anything that had architectural significance being salvaged. All the commissioners here have seen these two houses.
Yeah.
Was there anything in them that could be salvaged or sold, restored? And this is more for the record. I'm not giving my personal opinion here, but from your perspective as the builder, was there anything to be saved or salvaged in the current buildings?
In this particular case, I would, unfortunately, I would say no, especially from an architectural standpoint. There's really nothing there that has any relevance to the historic district at all. Oftentimes, we do like to try to recycle or reclaim, copper, brass, things like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's really nothing there.
Okay, so nothing in the two structures that we're talking about issuing a demolition permit for, COA for demolition is being utilized in the new structure in any way, shape, or form?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have more questions, sorry, I'm hit and miss today. Back to the site plan. Trees. There are a few trees that I wonder if you might not be able to save. The one that's intersected by the now side yard sidewalk, which is a 16-foot, I assume, pine tree. It
Okay.
looks like it's in the middle, not in the middle, it's on the edge of the sidewalk. Is there no way you might reconfigure the sidewalk to save that tree?
I mean, it could be a discussion that I could have with the homeowner, but, you know, per the design that they, you know, really like, that's, you know, that's just where the sidewalk falls.
Well, I guess because most people will see that as the front yard, not knowing anything about setbacks. It's a pretty important tree.
Understand that, and then also too, I do know that with Pinehurst, not sure if this is part of the historical or not, but I do know with Pinehurst that, you know, all along both of those road frontages, we will be replanting other trees.
Okay, there's another tree that's just barely in the driveway, 15-foot, I think, pine. Is there anything you can do to modify the driveway to save that tree?
Be happy to give it some consideration.
All I can ask, thank you.
Yep.
Windows. It looks like they're double hung with one muntin running vertically, generally speaking.
Yes.
What's the makeup of that muntin? Is it between the glass?
That would be yes.
Right answer. That's all I got.
Okay, because we closed the evidentiary portion after this, right? I just want to make sure we can have the conversation about the 6-foot fences on either side, because they're both street facing on the side and the front, but I'm not sure if that's
We can talk about it in deliberation, but if that's a question
yeah.
better suited to the applicant, I would advise. we
I'm
ask
not
them.
sure what the question is, but per our standards, fences can only be 3.5, 4 feet tall on the front street-facing sides of the house. And you have 2 of them, so down in the left-hand corner and then in the upper right-hand corner, and both of them face the street regardless of which one the front of the house is. So technically, I don't know if we can approve it with a 6-foot fence.
It may be a question of staff, but it's got to be with front yard and rear and side yard. And if it's at a certain point on the building, it can be 6. That may be a question better directed to Michael.
And could I say something about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also with the fences, our intentions there are really to duplicate what all of the neighbors already have there. And if you do look at where that fence does come onto that, be the rear elevation in this case, it is set back from that frontward facing wall.
10 feet, I believe.
Yeah, so
Maybe 4
we
feet.
should fall under the proper criteria.
If it's a side yard fence and it's 10 feet from the front, from one of the corners of the structure, it could be 4 feet.
Right.
Yeah, 4 feet, but this is 6 feet. That's the problem. So, and I only know this because I'm going through it personally, but 6 feet is only like rear facing. And I'm on a corner lot too, so it's the same problem.
But the standards really address which yard the fence is in, not whether it faces the street or not.
Yeah, but there's one, whichever, if this side was the
Side
front or
yard.
this side was the front, they both have a 6-foot fence.
Standard,
They would be side yard fences, and I would think they'd be considered side yard fences.
But then I think side yard is 4 feet
so
if it's street facing.
when we look at these for zoning compliance, you're correct, that's how we treat it. If it's forward of the front facade of the structure, it's front yard fence. If it's not, then it's side yard fence. But the standard reads, that I think you're referring to, it reads that residential side yard fences taller than 4 feet in height must be set back at least 10 feet from the front corner of the facade and must be screened with landscaping on the sides.
Well, this is
visible from
great
the
news for
street.
me then.
And it must not be taller than 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, all we need is a dimension. If you put a dimension on your drawing that says 10 feet, then we know you comply.
Okay, so both of these are approvable then, even the front-facing 6-foot fence.
They appear to be in compliance.
If it's pushed back from that corner at least 10 feet, then yes, it meets that standard.
You clear on the 10 feet?
Yes.
I'm getting this.
Okay. And then another question, on the garage, so typically we would not see garages facing on what you're calling here is really the front, but it's almost like what we see on McIntyre's, the faux front, sort of the dressed-up front that the public sees, and then the true front that is used by the homeowner is off Medlin. So I think, again, typically we don't like to see the front-facing garages. We've seen applicants in the past try and mitigate it or do it on the side of the building, lots of different ways. Not saying it couldn't be agreed to, but I think one of my concerns is if those garage doors end up a certain way and draw too much attention to that, that also can go a long way to sort of harm that front even further. You've got a black paint in here. Is that a flat paint? Is it a glossy paint? Can you talk to that?
Typically, we do just a matte semi-gloss at the most.
Okay. So in your opinion, would that be, you're not going to be drawing attention to the garages as a feature?
No, that is not the intention.
Okay.
And then, given the lot, given that street that the garage doors are on, obviously, a lot of front-facing garages on that street.
Yeah.
And then again, given the appearance as it is today, I don't see anything but an improvement of what we're proposing.
Anything you do is an improvement.
It's honestly a very smart street to put the garage on because every single house has the exact.
It seems to me that there's this terminology question about front yard. Then there's what the public perceives as the front, which is clearly McIntyre in my mind, meaning that garage doors do not face the public perception of front. On the other hand, I fully agree that black is pretty powerful for that location of the garage door right on the corner, front or side, either way, and that maybe painting it to match the house to make it less powerful. I think
Less contrast. I mean, it's black and white.
I mean, there's gray garages on that road too.
Yeah.
oh,
There's
still,
white and gray,
I-
so.
I think a well-taken critique.
I think what we have is a great improvement, and it really flows with what's already on that street. It's not anything that's going to stand out and be all, this is really different. I think it'd be pleasing to most anybody to drive through there.
Yeah. And I think that street, the majority of the houses that came on that street were prior to, my assumption, prior to our standards.
Understand.
And documents that we rely on. Don't disagree with you that it's an improvement. And what we're tasked with is congruency within the district as a whole, but we also look at the street, we look at the house itself, and making sure that it fits in. So I don't have any other questions for the applicant.
Oh, yes, no, I got mine. I'm good.
Good? Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Sir, forgive me, while Mr. Hornbaker is at the microphone, Michael had one concern regarding the door color that he wanted to bring to your attention that you might be able to respond to.
Yeah, sorry, I omitted the front door collar.
From the presentation, but it was in the
presentation.
packet.
And I think it should have been in the packet under the historical selections.
Oh, the blue?
Yes.
Blue Dragon.
Yeah, so I want to bring that to your all's attention for a discussion. No.
Is the issue, is it not in the color palette?
I think, from what I observed, most of the blues that are in our color palette are more towards the greener end.
Oh, man, I think this is a classic blue.
So I just wanted to bring that up because I unfortunately omitted it.
Was there any objection to getting as close as you can get, but still fitting in our color palette?
No.
Great.
I apologize for that. Sorry.
So, where do you go?
Both front doors? All three front doors?
Oh, good question.
I do have the proposal color here if anyone wants to see it.
I have it. Thank you.
For all three doors?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there direction for staff regarding your question? Are we expecting a change in the color from what's being
Yeah, I
proposed?
think it ought to be in the color palette.
Okay.
May not be exactly that blue, but my guess is probably sort of close.
If we can get close, the question that I would have for that, I can't recall. I think y'all use Sherwin-Williams in your palette, and
It's
we would-
online, you can look up all the approved colors.
Yeah, and we had done that, and we'd be using a Benjamin Moore product, so their
We
color.
don't care who the manufacturer is, just what the color is.
Yeah, I'm saying their colors are very similar, so we'll try to get as close as we can. Yeah.
And you would bring that to staff, and we could take it from that point without having to come back to the commission for it?
Certainly. Yeah.
Okay, I don't think there's any other questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence either in support or in opposition to the application? If so, this is your opportunity to come forward. Seeing none. Okay, no other public witnesses. Okay, no other questions for staff from commissioners. So we're going to go ahead and close the record in this case, and the commissioners will deliberate. Here's your opportunity.
Can we wait just one
I know, we should.
nanosecond?
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry. The metal roof color, do we know what that is? Oh, sorry, onyx black, okay.
I mean, I'm not going to have a conversation about the fence because
It doesn't.
this
say.
works for me.
I had one concern with this house, and that's, and I know that it's a corner lot, so a little bit different, but just, the two houses that are there now, which are eyesores, but they're each about 1,200 square feet, and then now they want to build over 4,000 square feet house. So my concern was just, I don't see this house being similar to what was there before, even considering all the new construction on Medlin, or even if you consider McIntyre, which is more like cottages, bungalow style. And I think the size, I just think it would be a little overpowering for this street.
Because
Scale
we've,
question.
yeah, and we've discussed scale before, and I think what came out of it was we have to just deal with the confines of, like, the parameters of the property.
No, I mean, scale's a part of congruency. And whether it's congruent within the district as a whole, whether it works on the environment that it is with itself, with the street, district as a whole. I will say you have, from my perspective, I thought about that as well, and it's a good question. You do have two lots here, and we don't deal with the recombination of the lots, but first off, you do have two lots being put together, so there is more space there. And I think, 4,000 square feet, if you put 4,000 square feet and it's a big block, that looks like 4,000 square feet, but a house like this that has, certain architectural features, different roof pitches, different roof types, different elements, it doesn't feel, from my perspective, doesn't feel like a 4,000 square foot house. I feel like they've done a good way of meandering it through the lot. So it feels a little more open, a little more farm style. So for me, but it is a consideration, so.
I have a couple thoughts on that as well. In my review, like you, I started with the square footage of the house. The area under roof is over 5,000 square feet, so it's a big house. On the other hand, as Richard said, because of the roof slopes, most of which are 7/12s, and the fact that it's long, thin, helped me come to grips with that. And there are two sections in the standards which address this. One says, new construction should not visually overpower nearby structures. which would be a way for us to address its scale relative to its immediate neighbors. Unfortunately, just below that, it says that the size and scale must be congruent with the range of existing structures within the entire Pinehurst district. So I agree with you, it's a big house, but it, as Richard said, if it were a two-story house of 5,000 square feet, it would be, I would have a tough time. But because it's mostly one story with some attic rooms, and because they're 7/12 pitches, I'm okay with it.
For what it's worth, it's, the two lots together, I just looked it up, it's going to be somewhere around half an acre, which is, on this side of the village, it's big. That's a big lot. I would say the majority of houses on this side of the village are somewhere between 0.35 to 0.45. Just whether you go down Everett, you go down Fields, you go down Short. So, not that we deal with recombination, but that's a large lot, so. Okay. Any other deliberation? Is there any member that wishes to make a motion? I'll let Justin and Joe off the hook here. So Angelique, David, or Kara, would either of you like to make a motion?
I will make a motion. The purpose, oh, no, that's not a motion. It's right here. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at 80 Medlin is consistent with the Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, the findings of fact, and the following conditions: that the blue door color will be changed to match the approved color palette on all three doors.
Do we have to approve with conditions, or is that fine?
That does sound like a condition to me.
Yeah.
So that would be approved with conditions.
Yeah.
As the first part of your motion.
So does he have to say
Do we need to
it
bring
again?
I
the
beg your pardon.
demolition in there?
Absolutely right. Approve with conditions. And I think that's the only thing we changed. I missed other changes.
May I ask that it be amended to include 90 Medlin, so 80 and 90 Medlin
Oh,
Road?
yeah, yeah. And actually, we have to do two more for the two demolitions, right?
It's all handled under one COA, but if you want to touch on and say we're approving the demolition of a structure on 80 Midland, on 90 Midland, and then the new construct, and then you can go into it. And,
Amended.
Single motion, yes.
Amended that way.
Very good.
do you want to start it again?
All right, again.
For the
Don't
benefit
forget-
of everyone
yeah,
here.
Approve with conditions.
Right.
So you don't have to do it again.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve with conditions a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at both 80 Medlin Road and 90 McIntyre? No,
Medlin
90
Road.
Midland Road.
90 Midland
road.
Road. Consistent with the Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, the findings of fact, and the following conditions: that the blue color for all three doors shall be amended to match a similar blue in our approved color palette. That's it.
Motion.
Period.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, good, Justin.
Justin, seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Congratulations, you have your COA. Thank you. You handling the next case, Michael? Pamela? Okay.
Passing the torch.
Take it away when you're ready.
Thank you. This public hearing which is for COA number 2024-00062, is to consider amendments to a previously approved COA from 2023, and that was number 2023-00179. There are certain components of that approval that are coming back to you for consideration of revisions. And this is for residents that's located at 20 Muster Branch Road. And the Moore County PID number is 000245154. The property owners are Kyle and Jamie Behringer, and the applicant speaking on behalf of them is Mr. Kevin Reed. Having some technical. There we go. Thank you, Michael. As I mentioned, we'll go through a list on the following slide of what's changing in this application. Do want to mention that there was a minor COA approved by staff previously. None of those items are changing here with the exception of the paver color, and that could be approved by staff, but we've rolled it into this application for your consideration. The structure at 20 Muster Branch Road was built in 1992 and is located on approximately 0.898 acres. This list of our jurisdiction here for making this decision includes new construction or additions not considered to be minor work, the replacement of architectural details that changes the design or materials from existing details, changes to roof lines, and minor work items not approved by the village planner. And these are considered major work requiring review by this commission. Thank you. It's okay, just go back if you can. I think we have a battery trying to die on us here. I put this together in part for me to understand. As you can see, I like to put together a spreadsheet. Evidently, that's the way my brain works. But we had Maria working with this applicant when they came to you last time for their COA, and then we had another staff person working with the minor COA, and I was trying to sort of tease that out to see what we're really looking at this evening for your consideration, and that's why I created this. So that bottom right-hand block is what we're looking at this evening, having to do with the rear elevation and roof line, including some barriers in the pool area and an upper story balcony, window replacements and additions, patio and sidewalk paving materials, and patio and pool railings. As I mentioned, that's on the rear elevation, and siding material. We did notice this in accordance with general statutes and with our Pinehurst Development Ordinance, and you see 20 Muster Branch there near the center of the image in hatch pattern, and the properties that were noticed in red. Thank you. The applicant provided this new rear elevation and are highlighting this new addition, which you did see before, but there are some changes to what was approved last year for that, and I'll be happy to let them explain that in more detail. But they did provide this to give you a sense of the portion of that rear elevation that's where the addition will occur. This is what the application in 2023 looked like for the rear part. You were looking at a broader set of proposals, including the pool, for example, and just wanted to put this in here for context. New rear elevation is in this slide, and the applicant highlighted in yellow those areas that are changing from the previous approval.
Can you go back? Just
Right.
never.
This one?
Is this image the same as the one
Just prior.
that has a site plan that's combined with the site plan?
Is that the bigger one? Which,
Let's let staff finish
sorry.
that, and then we'll
Yeah, out of
come
order.
back and direct question at staff.
I'm afraid I'm confused by the question, but maybe we'll answer it as we move through these slides. If not, we'll attempt to. There is a change from the chestnut brown for the patio and sidewalk brick to this onyx black. And again, this is something that, as a standalone request, could be approved by staff, but it's part of your consideration for this evening. Railing for the patio and pool is shown in this slide, and further details I believe the applicant can provide for you. This is that upper level terrace that you saw on the new addition on the rear facade. And then railing for the observation deck, which is a clear material. They will be replacing windows. Initially, I believe there were just new windows for the addition that you were considering, and there have been some need to do a broader scope of work with the window replacement. And this is the image that they provided that had dimensions in it, but we have some additional information on the windows in other slides. The applicant did provide, this is the before or current picture on the front elevation on the left, and what they anticipate the front facade to look like once these windows are replaced. Same setup for the rear, where they've included the addition there sort of towards the left of the image in both cases, and what they expect those windows to look like when they're replaced. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The proposed exterior changes would feature materials, windows, doors, and colors compatible with the existing dwelling. The commission will need to determine if the changes are compatible with the architectural character of the structure, congruous with the historic district, and meet the historic district standards. And just sort of as a recap, the specific changes that require your review and decision this evening include the rear elevation and roof line, including the pool and balcony barriers. There's an asterisk here that I did convey to the applicant. Those barriers will also be reviewed by our building inspectors for code compliance prior to issuing a building permit. So if there are later changes that need to come back to you with that regard, or they may be approved by staff, depending on what those are, but we'll bring them back if necessary. Also, window replacements and additions, the patio and sidewalk paving materials, and the siding material. And at this time, we would like to submit the following into the record, and that would be the staff report with the associated attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the application and the applicant's materials and exhibits. And I will respond to any questions
Thanks,
you may
Pamela.
have for staff.
Without objection, materials referred to by staff are entered into the record. Questions for staff?
I think this is what David was referring to. I'm not sure this slide was in,
Part of the packet.
yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to make sure I understand the change that took place. If you look at Exhibit A 3.10 and look at
It's the rear,
It's not in the
it's the
presentation.
lifetime real
rear
photo.
photograph.
Yeah.
It's not here. Let me see if I can find it.
I think the one with the site plan is even different than this one, right? Or not this
Okay,
one.
I'm clear now. So this is what's being proposed where the observation deck is, the roof above the gable with the doors in it. That's the roof that changed, right? Before it was just the side of the gable that the chimney's on, right? It looks to me like it's already built, so I think I answered my own question,
Okay.
unless they're going to undo what they already built.
And there may be some clarification that the applicant can provide as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was another question. So procedurally, this is not, I mean, it's not finished, but the roof line's already changed. So procedurally, we don't have to handle this in any different way. It's not, it's sort of post facto. I know the photos show the new proposed roof line that we're here today to approve as part of the COA.
I see, the roof line on this addition
The
is
new,
changing.
the new rear elevation has already been built, it appears, and we can talk to the applicant, but from staff's understanding, is that the case? We don't have to handle it any differently, we still COA.
Correct.
This is a current picture, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's
what
the
it looks
new,
like.
that roof line is revised from.
Yes. It doesn't like pitch
present-
out.
Present day is revised from what was last approved.
Yep.
Okay. Does it help, David? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm clear.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for staff? I remember the applicants. I see the applicants here. Let's see. Okay, anyone from the applicant side who would like to come forward? How you doing, sir? It may be easier for you to hold that microphone. I'm going to have you introduce yourself. First name, spell your last name, and I'm going to swear you in.
Sure. My name is Kevin Reed, R-E-E-D.
Thank you.
I am the manager of KBR Consultants.
Perfect. I'm going to have you swear you in. Right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. So you heard staff's presentation. You heard some questions of staff. Is there anything you would like to add in addition to staff's testimony toward your application?
Sure. First of all, Mr. Chairman, members of the HPC, thank you very much for the opportunity to appear before you this afternoon on behalf of Kyle and Jamie Behringer. They're both here. They're the owners, as well as Mike Hess, who's the contractor for this job. As staff indicated, we're here to talk about some changes relative to a COA that was approved last year. And what I would like to do is simply kind of walk through those changes in a little bit more detail to provide you some clarity. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and if necessary, if the contractor needs to answer a question more detailed that I can't handle, we'll certainly ask that he be sworn in at the time. So,
Sounds good. Thank you.
first of all, I want to start about talk about the changes to the rear elevation. And it's good that this picture is up there because the change has been made. And if you looked at the previous design and we're really talking about the roof line that accompanies the observation deck, if you will. If you look at the previous roof line and we're standing back, what was proposed was really incongruous with what is there now. So if you stand at the rear of the lot now and look at what has been constructed, again, what's being shown on the screen now is what was originally approved. If you stand in the rear yard and look at the rear elevation and compare that proposed roof line to the roof line of the garage and the little addition there, they didn't match up. And now they do. If you stand in the backyard, they both have nice, fairly, evident A-frame construction. And so the reason primarily for the change for that roof line was to make it more congruous with what was there. And also, it allowed the opportunity to create a vaulted ceiling in that space and really open it up inside. And so that was a secondary benefit. The primary benefit was to try to match that as best as possible. And that current, previously approved design just did not do that from a perspective. I'm happy to pause during these and answer questions relative to each one or kind of go through them all, Mr. Chairman, however you'd like to do it. So
You're doing great.
I'll keep going. All right, let's talk about window replacement. First of all, draw your attention to the front of the house. What was there currently, let me back up. The owners did not want to be here and talk about window replacement on the entire home. They did not have that intention in 2023 when the COA was approved. You can well imagine, unfortunately, when they got into the construction and the remodeling, they found out that the existing window systems were just in such poor shape that they all had to be replaced. And so this is an unanticipated architectural change and, more importantly, an unanticipated financial change for the owners. And so what they're trying to do is create harmony with the new window design. As you'll see on the left-hand side for that drawing now, what you have is really different sets of windows on the second floor and on the first floor. You've got 2/6s on the bottom. In some cases, you've got half circles with what I call the sunburst design appearance. And then on the second story, you have 2/5s. What the owners want to do is go to a more consistent window design, which is basically a 2/6, and with the half circle instead of a starburst actually having a vertical divider, and that's actually, the half circle is actually 2 window units that are put in there to give the appearance of there being a divider between the two. And so that's pretty much the change on the front elevation. Again, trying to make the windows consistent in appearance standpoint. And I should note the color is poplar white for the windows. On the rear elevation,
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop, just one question. So it's just the window, there's no trim, there's no detail around that, it's just truly a window replacement, like, not like for like style, but like for like size? Okay,
yes, sir.
got it.
Yes. Trying to go back in with the openings and not do anything. Again, this is an unanticipated part of the project.
Thank you.
So, with regard to the rear elevation.
Can I interrupt you since we're doing that? Can you tell us a little bit about the windows in particular? Are they wood? Are they clad aluminum? Are they
They're a clad window.
clad window?
Yeah.
And the muntins, what kind of muntins? Are they between the glass?
That's a good question. Outside glass.
I'm going to have to swear you, I'm going to have to swear you
All right.
in. Hey, we may as well do it. Let's just come up.
I told
We'll get a
Mike if
second
he had to
one.
answer a question, he had to get sworn in.
I'm going to have you grab the microphone, speak clearly, please. First name, spell your last name.
First name Michael, last name Hess, Hess.
Thank you. I'm going to swear you in now, right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Come join the party.
Inside and outside. Is there an interior between the lights
Yes,
of
there
glass?
is.
Great, thank you.
They're actually Pella Lifestyle windows. Matter of fact, hate to say it, the most expensive one they sell.
Good window.
But that's the only ones that will fit in them openings, because them are originally Pella windows.
Good choice, you'll love them.
Oh, I do. I know they will.
So does your bank.
Okay, thank you. So nothing further on the front elevation relative to the window change. I draw your attention to the rear elevation. If you look at what is there now along the rear elevation, you've got sort of a hodgepodge of windows. You've got some doors with glass and no separation emulsions in it. You've got half circles with starbursts over them. You've got some divided light windows. And so what the owners want to do again is create consistency, and as much as possible, what they feel is architectural congruity, both on the front of the house, on the rear of the house. I should note that Exhibit A3-10, the doors in the middle that show 2/4 or 2x4 glasses, that's incorrect. Pella wouldn't do another rendering for us. They said they reached their number of renderings, and so they will be consistent and be the 2/3 consistently along the back there, whether they be windows or doors. So going for a consistent look again along the back, doing away with the solid glass doors. And then also with regard to the rear elevation and windows, there are 2 windows added on the side by the garage, which essentially is above what used to be golf cart storage, which is now considered to be the sauna room.
Minor comment. If you come down from the chimney and to the right an inch or so, there's a window tucked in there. It just got missed, right?
Yes. It's going to be consistent and matched there. So. If there's nothing further, I'll move on to some other minor changes, if you will. With regard to the patio and sidewalk pavers, initially, the color was going to be chestnut brown. As staff said, they could potentially prove that. They rolled in the COA. We're more than happy to have that done. Again, the color choice now is going to be onyx black versus chestnut brown. Touch briefly on the railings. So there's really 2 sets of railings here we're talking about relative to the project. There are the railings along the observation deck, which is the new elevated platform on the 2nd story, and there are elevations along the remainder of the rear of the property where required, in addition to the pool. And so what you have in front of you now, which was what was previously approved for the railing, for the pool and the patio, and again, I'm not referring to the elevated deck, just the patio, those are going to remain consistent and will be the Trex Signature Series. What is going to change is really the railing on the elevated observation deck. Initially, it was intended to be a cable system that was previously approved as part of COA 23-00179. The owners became concerned about the maintenance of that after getting more interested in the product, and also sort of the visual impact of it. And so what they're proposing to do is change the railing for the observation deck to a Trek Signature Series, but rather than having vertical or horizontal separation and barriers, it would be a clear panel separation, clear glass separation. So visually, it's going to open up, and obviously, any staff said, any railings or whatnot, particularly pool barriers, they'll meet the requirements of the building code as per appropriate sections of the code.
Question on railings around the pool.
Yep.
In your little isometric colored drawing, it looks like that fence has been, or railing has been removed just so we can see the pool. Can we presume that it's going to follow those little brick pylons in your drawing?
Yes, and so the idea is not to use the house itself as part of the pool barrier. So where there is insufficient elevation, or where there's sufficient elevation that a barrier is going to be required along the patio, it is going to be along the edge of the patio, and where the steps lead off the patio, there will essentially be a gate there, if you will, to serve as the pool barrier. The one exception is going to be, if you look at that drawing that's up there now, if you look at the far right-hand side, there's a section of the elevated patio there that's going to be of sufficient height that it's likely not going to have to require any kind of pool barrier per se, but simply would just have to meet any other requirements relative to the building code. So if that makes sense. Pool barrier is only going to be placed where absolutely necessary to serve as the pool barrier. And otherwise, where there's an opportunity not to have a barrier or railing in accordance with the building code, they're going to try to keep that open as much as possible. With regard,
Still confused. In this drawing, there are two groups of 3 brick pylons. Are they supporting the railing?
they are not.
They actually are.
They are.
The brick pylons right there on the end, they will have a railing attached from the brick wall in, then there'll be a gate right where the arrow's at going out. Then the brick fence will go from pylon to pylon, then it'll circle around on a radius, then go back to pylon, just like she's doing there, circle around that radius and kick off and go to that other brick column on the far left, right there. And then it'll continue to the left. The next one's over, it'll continue over there. It'll zig back out to the left, back to that one. Then it picks up on them other two, and there will be another gate there that accesses the pool. So
And that's
no
the
one-
fence, not the brick wall.
Correct.
Okay.
The picket railing, the railing with the
Yep, the
pickets.
railing.
Yes,
Okay.
not the clear glass. Clear glass only on the observation deck, elevated observation deck.
So the site plan is no longer current.
Well, there is a site plan with it on it. I don't believe I have it on me. It's in my phone, but
Can we, a question to staff, can we accept that he'll provide a current site plan that matches his, can we do that?
Well, yeah, I mean, typically sometimes it's inaccurate, I won't speak for staff, but his testimony is part of the record now as far as what the plan is, if it's sufficient for us to understand what we're approving.
Right. Then just question is, when they review it in 3 years when they're done, just kidding, then they'll know what they're reviewing.
In 3 years, when we go back out to, I see, when we go back out to do, to do an inspection, then we'll look to have a current site plan that shows what we should be seeing there.
Okay.
Good point.
Mr. Chairman, we do have, pretty much which is a current rendering that is accurate and shows the location of that. Obviously, it's on a phone right now. We can't produce that to you. We certainly, based on Mr. Hess's testimony, we'll certainly enter a site plan to staff that is consistent with what he indicated relative to the fence for the pool.
Great,
Appreciate
thank
that.
you.
I apologize for not having that in front of you. Things change pretty quickly over here.
There's a lot going on in this house, so.
No further questions. I want to touch briefly on the siding. So there is some existing siding that was on the dormers, and then the new dormers that was added. And basically what we found out, or what they found out is due to carpenter bees and some other deterioration, some siding had to be replaced. It is going to be, it is shake siding, it is continue to be shake siding. The color of the siding is going to match the garage doors. At this time, the owners have not decided exactly the color of the doors or the siding. It will be in accordance with the Pinehurst Development Ordinance, specifically the HPC color palette standards. And so we will they will select a color that's consistent with that standard and certainly submit that to staff for approval. And then finally, the last minor change relative to color had to do with gutters. Gutters were approved initially, and they were going to be a painted white. That felt to be rather stark, and rather than have a painted white, what the owners would like to do is go with a dark bronze, and it's actually a material that the gutters, the color is part of the material for the gutter. It's not a painted material, so. I think that's the laundry list of things that we're requesting for the HPC to consider. Again, we apologize having to come back before you, but the nature of this project is, as it's unfolded, has necessitated a number of changes, and here we are. Again, happy to answer any questions you might have, as well as Mr. Hess.
Thank you. Question for staff. So we got patio pavers that could have been handled by staff level, but for sake of completeness, it's all in one package in front of us now. We got change in railing from the viewing deck, and then we've got change in the rear facade as far as the bump out on the roof line, vaulted ceiling, all that, upper floor. And then we've got window replacement on the front, window replacement on the back, and we've also got some siding repair and replacement. What is the painting of siding? I don't see that anywhere in application. So the decision we make in here today on a COA, it's just what's in front of us. We're not talking about painting. So whether it's the intention of the applicant to come back, is that something applicants expressed intention of doing painting? If it is something that don't know the color, but is that something applicant would come back and work with staff, or would they have to come back before us again to handle it then?
If it's part of the approved color palette, staff can approve it.
So we can just condition it then, right?
We don't even need a condition. It's not an application.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm okay with it. But we'll get to that.
Well, if they, because they could, separately, they could just come to you with that, and we would have nothing to do with that.
We can talk about it, because the blue doors from the previous application are, for the most part, in the color palette as well. So, okay. Any other questions from commissioners for the applicants? Okay, thank you.
With regard to the siding color, I guess my position is that even though a
David,
color,
Let me hit the public first.
oh, beg pardon, sorry. Out of order.
Is there any member of the public who wishes to present any evidence either in support or in opposition to this application? Now would be your opportunity to come forward. Seeing none. I think we can go ahead, therefore, and close the case. So the record is officially closed, and commissioners can deliberate.
Okay, regarding the color palette, just because a color is on the palette would not mean that it's congruous regardless of the surrounding materials. So a blank check to use any color might be great, might not.
Yeah, I think, fair point, but I think if, with staff, if it was a repair or the exact same color, it could be handled as minor work, but if it was something that staff didn't feel comfortable with, it would get elevated to us for
Right, I'm
major.
okay with that.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. There's the ultimate check and balance. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? There's a lot of windows on here. I was expecting more from you on this one.
Well, he picked the top of the line. It's hard to get better than that. Good choices.
Yeah. Any other commissioners? Okay. So if there's no more deliberation, anyone ready to make a motion?
I can make a motion. I'm going to try to do this, taking into consideration everything we discussed. So I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve with conditions a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at 20 Muster Branch Road is consistent with historic district standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact, with the condition that they provide the revised site plan to staff.
Okay. Motion made by Karen Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Angelique Fabiani. I'll poll the members. Why don't I start with you on my left, Justin? It's a yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay?
Yay.
Yay?
Yes.
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 Congratulations. You have your COA. You are approved. Thank you. Okay, that concludes public hearing. May I have a motion, either from Justin or Joe, to close the public hearing and return to the regular commission meeting?
Make a motion.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Good
All
job,
those in
guys.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. No nays? Okay. We officially close the public hearing, and we're going to return to the regular commission meeting. Let's see. This is a public meeting, and you are all welcome to stay. But only the members of the commission and its staff may speak. You have been provided with a copy of the minor work and staff approvals. Has everyone had a chance to review? Are there any questions for staff?
So we have two sets of them because last month we failed to.
We did the- yep.
Yeah, so the first slide is your March 15th to April 19th. So we had 9 during that time. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another 9 for April 20th to May 17th.
Okay.
Got any questions?
Can you go back one?
March, May.
Yep. Up until last Friday.
Got it. Okay. I know we had our work session prior. Any other business? I don't think there was any. I think we left it in staff we can circle back on the next work session next month based on staff time and resources and make a determination at that point.
Touch base with you early. We do not have any applications as yet for the June meeting, but the deadline is next Thursday, so there's still plenty of time.
I don't think that's ever happened. If there's no if there's no applications,
Yeah, what does happen?
is there a-
Maybe they were all minors. We had a good list of minors, so.
I'm about to submit a minor.
so if there's no meeting if there's no applications.
That would be up to the chair. That's the way I've always handled that we would reach out to you and let you know, and you could determine whether there was a need to.
I'm at the beach.
You're at the beach. You picked the right meeting to go to the beach.
Well, only
Are you
because
there?
there's no meeting.
Okay.
27.
Okay, well, let's see what the caseload comes in, we can make the call. I don't want to bring everyone together for 2 minutes to bang a gavel and adjourn, so. Okay, next regular meeting, 6/27. Looks like David's not going to be here. and
No, I'm
Angelique.
kidding.
Oh, okay,
Go to the beach if there wasn't a meeting to go to.
just Angelique. Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is a motion, is there a second?
Second the motion.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No nays. Motion passes, and we are officially adjourned. Thanks, everyone.